Hi, I'm Andrew, and I'm with Envy Board Gaming, and today I'm going to be redoing a list that I did quite a few years ago. It's actually, I believe, our most viewed list and video that we have, and that is going to be ranking my Dice Throne characters. This is going to be a lot longer list because last time I did there were only 16 Dice Throne characters, and now we're up to 35. So I'm going to kind of break this one up instead of doing one video because that would be quite lengthy. So today I'm going to do 35 through 21, and then we'll break the last two up into 10s. Just going to go over how I ranked each of these characters. Now, just like in the first list, this isn't a strategy guide based on who I think is the best or the strongest. It's just who I have more fun playing and my reasonings behind those. So, so without kind of dragging this out too long, let's go ahead and jump right in. I'll also share what the previous rankings were, just in case you're curious how these have moved up and down. But we have also doubled the amount of characters. So let's jump right in with our number 35. I have my notes right here. And number 35 is going to be, it moved down. So last time it was number 14. So definitely moved down even though we added a lot more. And that's going to be the Barbarian. So the Barbarian is from season 1. And the reason why he's at the very bottom is I think just because he is, I think my experience with Dice Throne and what I like and what I don't like has kind of moved past the Barbarian. He's a great first timer, beginner character for anybody to try out. Very straightforward with dealing damage. He has plenty of heals. And just makes him great for people that are just learning the game. You don't have to worry about too many unique things to keep track of or manage, right? And that's where I think his weakness is he's just lacks kind of strategic options, really. He doesn't have a whole lot of stuff to keep track of. There's not a whole lot to him. Very simple, very basic. Even with his status effects, he only has concussion, which is a great status effect to have. But again, when I'm playing him, I just get bored really easily because I want something a little bit more. So that's why Barbarian is going to be coming in at the very bottom of my list. Number 35, Barbarian. Moving on to number 34. This is actually a brand new character, so I do not have any previous ranks. And this is going to be Deadpool. Deadpool is one... I think it's going to be hit or miss for some people, just depending on how you like certain aspects of things in your game. So he's very much like the fourth dimension kind of character, very much kind of breaking the regular rules of Dice Throne when it comes to, things in the real world. Like if he says an onomatopoeia, right, something happens, or if you play rock, paper, scissors, or whatever, there's something on the table. There's always those kinds of interesting, weird things when it comes to Deadpool. So he brings a lot of chaos. Nothing really, to me, that's exciting. It's just silliness, right? He just brings silliness into your game. And the question is do you like silliness in your game? I'm one that it depends on the game. This one, I could kind of take it or leave it. Don't really care. But he's a little also, I don't know, just feels a little bit kind of like unbalanced. His status effect tokens are fine. Like he has the donuts where he gets to heal. You roll a dice, you heal half. The onomatopoeia thing, he says a sound and he gets to change his dice to a 4 or 5, right? Rock, paper, scissors, depending on if he's defending or attacking, he gets to prevent damage or deal additional damage, right? So I don't know. To me, he's okay, but just not one that I'm like chomping at the bit to try and play as a character. He can be silly. I think that's just whenever Deadpool's in the game, that's what he brings is that silliness. And so that's why he is coming in at the bottom of the list, almost the very bottom, number 34. Number 33 was my original bottom of the list at number 16, and that is going to be Moon Elf. Now, it has moved up a little bit, but with the Moon Elf, I feel like Moon Elf is kind of like a tongue-in-cheek joking when it comes to the Dice Throne community, whereas like everybody knows Moon Elf's not very good, and so there's always that like flex of like, I'll play Moon Elf and I'll beat anybody kind of thing. But I think it kind of speaks for itself, right? Moon Elf, it excels at like evading attacks, right? So between the blind and the evasiveness, right? There's some good buffs in there with those status effects. The entangle is nice as well, not to mention that targeted, but he deals really low damage, so you got to keep that targeted on your opponent if you can. You kind of have to hope everything lines up with the evasiveness, the blinds, right? The entangles. It's just not a whole lot of damage potential, and it's just you're hoping the stars align over the course of the entire game, and it can just be really difficult to constantly try to evade things, and eventually you're just going to get smacked around. It just isn't going to go your way usually. You can win, obviously. I'm not saying that, but he's just one that you're kind of hoping everything goes your way. And so I don't like that much kind of luck, especially not that, I mean, Dice Throne is a game of luck to a certain extent, but there is a lot of strategy to the game. There's not a whole lot of mitigation, is what I'm saying, when it comes to the Moon Elf. So he has gone up. I have played him a lot more, obviously, since my last list, but not a ton. So he finds himself still towards the bottom at number 33. And then that's going to take us to number 32. Number 32 was originally my number 15. So staying just in front of Moon Elf. And this is going to be the Gunslinger. So the Gunslinger, again, is a pretty basic character. Has some really interesting tokens with the reload, as well as there's not a ton to them, but the knockdown is really nice. They also have evasive, which is good if you can get it to land. And so there's not a ton that comes with the Gunslinger. The reload is a really good one if you can get it to trigger. That's always great. The bounty does help as well. But again, I think this is one where you have to, there's just better ones out there, right? So with bounty, I like targeted a little bit better, right? So with bounty, they receive an additional damage, and their attacks are reduced by 1, which is nice if you can keep them. If you're not going up against somebody that has a lot of cleansing, knockdown is nice, keeps them with that CP. Also, that the reload, it's kind of like, oh, you add, half of whatever you roll, which is great, and then evasive. So, I mean, to me, it's not super exciting. There's nothing crazy here. The defense isn't anything to be excited. Like, it's a duel. You each are rolling a dice. It's very thematic. But, again, I think it's okay at best. So, it's not very fun or exciting to me. I don't think she does a ton of damage. So, she's not one that's going to be towards the top of my list at all. So, that's going to be number 32, the Gunslinger. Then, coming right ahead of her is going to be the one that is in her little dual pack. And he has dropped a little bit. He was number 12, now down to 31. And that is going to be the Samurai. Samurai kind of falls victim of the same stuff when it comes to the Gunslinger. He does have a cool little passive where he's collecting these honor tokens. There's always that. Let me make sure I get my notes here. He's always trying to deal out that shame so that they can but again, the shame isn't that great because you have to get 2 of them on them. And so if they were ever to deal damage during they would have to discard the token and decrease by 1. Not 2, but it would be at maximum 2 is the stack limit. So it does reduce that attack. I do kind of wish the stack limit was a little bit higher, to be honest, just kind of keep that that on there. And that way maybe you can get 3 or 4. It would be a little bit better, I think, if you could have more than 2 on there. Honor is interesting as well. I like that one. Obviously being able to increase any of your damage. And Backstrike is a great token as well, just being able to kind of hit back right away. So, again, I don't think he puts out a ton of damage. His strike back is one of my favorite things. His defense, you're only rolling 3 dice, so nothing crazy initially anyway. But you're not doing a ton of damage. Your ultimate is 13, which is decent, which is good, but as far as your status effects, nothing exciting that's happening there. So I'm not really that excited to play the Samurai. I mean, he's, again, and that's going to be kind of a trend when it comes to these lower complexity characters. They're just not ones that I play a ton of, just because I'm looking for more of a challenge and a little bit more to manage, right? So that's going to be the Samurai coming in at number 31. Number 30 is also going to be on the newer side of characters. And this is going to be coming from the Dice Throne Marvel set, and that is Black Panther. So Black Panther is definitely my least favorite from this set. I remember playing, was actually the very first one I think I played, because I got to play Black Panther versus Captain Marvel, and he just gets destroyed. I don't know if he can ever really, unless he gets lucky, ever beat Ms. Marvel or Captain Marvel. But with his kinetic energy, I get like what he's trying to do there, and increasing his attack, but he's taking so much. He's really relies on taking a lot of damage, and so he's susceptible to taking some really big hits, and I just don't think he's going to survive it. And then, yes, that kinetic energy is very thematic and great, and goes along with kind of enhancing his attacks, but overall, it does not equal out at all, in my opinion. So, yeah, I mean, you have 8 tokens with the kinetic energy giving you some CP and some cards and dealing some damage, but I think ultimately, yes, your vibranium suit does help you as well, but not as much. I think he's very susceptible. His defense isn't that great. So he's going to be coming in, and he's very basic as well. But he's just going to be coming in here at towards the bottom as well, at number 30. Number 29 is also going to be coming from the Dice Throne Marvel, and he is the other one that I find very difficult to win with, and that it is going to be Spider-Man or Miles Morales. He is, he has some really cool abilities. It's just really hard to get them. And I don't know, I know they just kind of buffed him a little bit with the newly released little leaflet, but he's not one, I think, that he doesn't have a great defense. He has some really cool tokens, like his combos, his invisibility is awesome. Like being able to, even webbed is nice, but it's just not, I don't think he has a great, he doesn't have access to them as much as I would like. I'd like for those tokens to be a little bit more accessible so they can really utilize them, because you kind of have to you have to really go for it and hope that you get it and pull it all off. It's one that it's just difficult to get everything to kind of align for him, I feel like. I don't like his defense. So He's not one that even puts out a ton of damage. That's why those combos are great, but I mean, you kind of do need them in order to put out enough damage to keep up with whoever you're fighting. So, and I think he really does rely on those status effects if in order to be successful. And if they're not as easily accessible, then I just think you're not going to have a great time. You're going to get beat up pretty bad. So, yeah, so he's not going to be very high. Number 29 definitely is going to be Miles Morales, Spider-Man. Number 28 is actually coming from the newest set of Marvel X-Men, and that is going to be Cyclops. I was really close between Cyclops and another character that I was going back and forth on. But I think ultimately Cyclops takes it a little bit. So Cyclops kind of revolves around these leadership cards that he has in his deck. And I think he's probably a great support character, maybe if you're playing him in like missions or something. But he's not as effective, I think, when you're playing him on just your typical 1v1 matchups. So he really kind of relies on some synergy, I think, that would make him really shine with other players. But not anything that is gonna really help. You get to look at, battle plan, look at some opponent's hands, gain some leadership cards, inflict focus fire. So focus fire is probably his best token that he has access to there. But yeah, he's just not one that gets exciting enough to play. And I see him more of as like a support character if I were playing him in Dice Throne Adventures or missions, really. So yeah, so that's going to be Cyclops. He's coming in at number 28. Number 27, moving right along, we're going to stay in the Marvel X-Men, and that is going to be Rogue. Rogue has some good strengths where she can kind of absorb some damage through her ionic energy and steal a little bit there, but she's very dependent on her opponent's abilities. So I feel like you have less control over your own strategy there. With her ionic energy, when she takes that damage, she's going to be gaining that, and then be able to use that to enhance her attacks. With her influence, again, it can be very limiting with her options. So I kind of see that she's very independent on who she's playing. Not extremely fun to play with, but again, she's very opponent dependent. So not something that I necessarily want to have my strategy depend on. Maybe in some specific situations you can really take advantage of it, but not something I'm going to be reaching for all the time. So that's going to be coming in at my number 27, Rogue. Number 26, we're going to leave the X-Men alone for a little bit, and we're going to come back to a standalone little two-player set, and this is going to be Santa Claus. So Santa Claus comes in at number 26. He is one that I always really want to put higher when possible, but reality checks in, and he's just not as good as I want him to be. So Santa Claus, some of his strengths, I think he has some good defensive options, especially when you have the eggnog, which is great. So he can stay in fights because he has plenty of healing to be able to do with the eggnog. He could have some really amazing moments, especially if you pull off your ultimate and it allows you to do another offensive, and you could really pile it on. Like, I really like that there's that possibility that you could do an ultimate and then hit him hard again right away, right? And so having that cheer really kind of ups that ability. So with his status effect cheer, he can spend them to get sixes on his dice, which are great. But other than being able to do that, it can, I don't know, he has some abilities that give players CP, which you never want to have an ability where you're helping your opponents. Or where you have like his ability, fireside chat, where you are rolling off against somebody, and there's always that chance that depending on how you roll, something you might not want it to go one way or the other. So you don't really have entire control over how that'll work necessarily. So yeah, he does need time to build up and kind of get that cheer, get that eggnog, and really kind of relies on those status effects in order to be successful. If you're not bringing in the cheer, if you're not bringing in the eggnog, I don't think that's really something you have to focus on, and hope that you're not playing somebody that is wiping those out, right? And so, or that they can even utilize and take those and be like, hey, I'm going to heal. This is great. So yeah, so I think he's good if you can maintain those status effects, and hitting that ultimate is great, but again, not as much control as I would like to be able to have over my character when I can. So that is why he is coming in at number 26. Number 25, however, is going to bring us back into our original set. I want to make sure I said that right. And that is going to be Ninja. Ninja was originally, let me see here, he was originally number 11. So probably slipped a little bit if you think like double plus, he's roughly in the same area, slipped a little bit maybe. But yeah, so Ninja has some really interesting things that he can do with his delayed poison and his smoke bomb and the new Jitsu tokens that he has available to him, which is really cool. I like delayed poison, but I think I just like regular poison a lot better. I want Ninja. He's very similar to a character that I like a lot that we'll talk about in a different video for sure. But he has these high bursts and like really good evasives through his smoke bomb, right? So he can kind of really jump in, do a lot, and hopefully sneak away, and then kind of hit you with that delayed poison, right? So he has that feel of maybe like the Shadow Thief a little bit with those smoke bombs, but he's going to be able to jump in and do some high damage. He doesn't really have, he's very vulnerable. He doesn't have any great defenses. That's why he's going to rely on those smoke bombs. And so it's really going to come down to timing and being able to hit everything just the way you want it, and hopefully being able to kind of have the stars align. But if you can, there can be some really cool attacks there, but you got to kind of be able to sustain it and keep it going, kind of thing. But yeah, so ninjutsu is a great little attack modifier to add as well, and so that's why he's kind of that middle of the pack right now for me. I guess a little bit more lower than the middle of the pack, but just because there's so many other great characters out there. So number 25 is the Ninja. Number 24 is one that was, let's see, before it was number 10. So it stays just above the Ninja still, not a whole lot of movement there. And that is going to be the Seraph. So the Seraph, I really like, not because I think it's not one that's going to deal out a ton of damage, right? But she has some really strong healing and some really strong abilities like her flight and her holy presence, right? A lot of aerial abilities, but really kind of relies on some her dice rolls. Her abilities become like kind of inconsistent, right? So it's just kind of being able to keep something sustainable and consistent going with her is a little bit more difficult. She doesn't pump out a ton of damage really, and she relies, I think, heavily on those status effects that, again, I think are kind of a little bit like Spider-Man, not as easily accessible. But I really like Flight. That's a great one where you get to roll 2 dice. And if roll is 6, you activate to make an attack undefendable, or you can avoid all damage, so it's great for attacks and defense. The Holy Presence is really great to be able to deal all damage to all opponents. So if you are playing in a more than one player, one-on-one type situation, it's great. But then also they have the Blinding Light, which is great for defense as well, to hopefully, if they roll, hopefully they roll a 1, right, and they fail, but if not, and they roll a 2 or 3, then you at least take less damage. So she has a lot of great defenses. I don't think offensively the Seraph is that great. But overall is going to be coming in, again, just a little bit above my Ninja at number 24. 23, we're going to come back to our little, as we're getting closer to the end of this video, we're going to come back to our little 2-player or 2-character box here, and that is going to be Krampus. So Krampus, I wasn't really sure when this character came out how I was going to feel about him, because, you know, I wanted Santa to win, but I also really like this idea of these rejects, right? And so Krampus is really going to revolve around these reject cards where you are going to have these gifts, and so long as you don't have somebody that cleanses them and gets rid of them, you are able to have these like reject toys that are great for attack modifiers, healing, preventing damage, giving you extra dice rolls, those kinds of things. But you got to make sure you keep them coming and coming and coming. And because you can really kind of push those out and activate them and just have the next one up, because you can have 3 at a time ready to go. So that's really great. He also has some decent CP disruption with his coal. So if you ever have 4 coal on you and you go to gain CP, instead you don't gain the CP, right? It's gonna mess up if you're trying to buy your cards, that kind of stuff. You're gonna have to sell them in order to make up for that. So there's a little bit of disruption there with that. Again, I don't think he has crazy high damage, but I think if you can... Sorry. Oh, it's getting late. But those statuses with the rejects, I think you can really kind of maximize those attack modifiers to kind of help make that a little bit better. So, yeah, so those are great. But I wish he had a little bit more than just the coal and the gifts as like a status effect. Same thing with Santa. I wish he had more than 2 as well. But it is what it is. I just wish there was a little bit more to them. And so that is why Krampus is going to be coming in at number 23. Number 23. Number 22, I had already mentioned a little bit earlier in this video, and this is going to be Captain Marvel. I actually, originally when I started playing Dice Throne Marvel, I really liked Captain Marvel for a while. She reminds me a little bit of like a pyromancer, which I guess we'll talk about later. Spoiler alert. I like pyromancer more. She's very high damage output, right? So she's kind of a glass cannon, with that she can deal damage to all opponents. So she's great if you're dealing in more than just like a one-on-one. She can deal a lot of damage to everybody. Her defense is very limited, right? Not crazy. She's very susceptible and vulnerable to sustained attacks. But she can do some high burst damage. With that, she has her Cosmic Rays to where she can add damage. She has her Cosmic Flare as well. So all this is going to be kind of that continuous damage that she's going to be doing throughout the game. Her Radiance as well helps with her defense, but not that great. So she's really coming in as like a glass cannon. That's what I was saying when she was playing Black Panther, I was like, no way. Black Panther never had a chance when he played against Captain Marvel. And so, yeah, she's really great if you just want to get in there and hit people hard, but know you're also going to melt. And so Captain Marvel is coming in at my number 22. And then to finish up this list at number 21, we are going to stick with the Dice Throne Marvel characters. This one is going to be, I think, one that's going to be a lot higher on most everybody else's list. And that is going to be Thor. I do like Thor. The one big thing, obviously, is he has Mjolnir that he's going to be throwing around and hitting people and bringing back to gain his electrokinesis, which then he's going to be collecting to get cards and do different abilities, right? And kind of enhance what he's doing. He is kind of a little bit dependent on, I think, that whole management of Mjolnir. His status effects can be very limited if he's not constantly getting that electrokinesis. He does he does okay damage. He has some decent defenses. There's another character I think will probably get compared to Thor quite a bit that I just like a lot more. Overall, Mjolnir wasn't as exciting for me when it came to playing it with him. Like, it's great to be able to throw it back and forth. That's neat. And having the little upgraded piece doesn't help. That's all metal and whatnot. But, so yeah, so I like Thor. He's going to be just sitting right outside that top 20 for me. But he is definitely a little bit tankier. I think he does really well when it comes to even those team combats. If you're going into Dice Sword Adventures or missions, right? But that's going to do it for number 21. That is going to be Thor. So I'm going to stop this video here. That's going to be my 36 through 21, and we'll pick it up next time and go through 20 to 11 and then finish it off with the top 10. So let me know which one of these am I completely wrong about. Which ones do you love? Do you not love? Should be higher? Should be lower? All that fun stuff. Let me know down in the comments. I look forward to seeing you guys on the next one. Thanks for watching.